college sports has an NIL problem. Roll credits, end of the video, that's it. If I were to say that one sentence, you'll have two groups of people who will hear that and be split on that opinion. One side is for these athletes making millions of dollars with no type of barriers and creating generational wealth for playing a sport in college. And the other side is also fine with that, but sees the culture is creating within the NCAA and simply wants some change and a little bit of guidelines. And right now, at the end of 2025, we are seeing a real boiling point. On the football side, we have a true group of 5 teams who are either top teams in their sphere or in the college football playoffs lose their impact players as soon as their season ended. And on the basketball side, we have literal NBA talent now being eligible to come to the NCAA ranks after a 2023 second-round pick, James Nnaji, signed with the Baylor Bears, creating a huge uproar across the sports world. In this video, I'm going to go on and change things a little bit going into 2026 because as a fan of both college football and basketball, I've slowly seen the NCAA get warped into something unrecognizable, and I simply want to speak my piece as someone who keeps up with this as much as I do the NBA. In this video, I'll be going over the many points of how the NIL system has negatively affected the college ranks, talking about the deterioration of loyalty due to it, and now, as it gets worse in basketball, collectively seeing the services of overseas and now NBA G League talent due to the lack of rules, making college basketball just professional basketball with extra steps, and what it'll mean for the future. With that being said, if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to like the video as we are now officially on the road to 100,000 subscribers, so be sure to subscribe to be a part of that, and of course, to catch more videos. But as usual, this will be a long one, but you already know who it is. Rally!
3, 2, 1.
Weights in the weight room, so he stitched up in the left.
There is a change coming to the way we watch sports, and it's the sponsor of today's video, Polymarket. We all know how Sportsbook and other services work. You're playing against the house and their lines are designed to beat you. But with Polymarket, it is a prediction market, which means you are strictly going against other sports fans exclusively. The odds aren't based just on a set number. It's strictly you versus other users on the app only. Why does that matter? Control and value. Because you're trading peer-to-peer, you aren't paying the heavy fees that traditional platforms charge just to place a trade, and the payoffs are often better because there's no middleman taking a massive cut. And another added benefit to Polymarket, it is that it's fully live. If you see momentum swinging, you can buy in or sell out instantly. You aren't locked in until the clock hits 0 on whatever you're trading in. And with Polymarket being fully compliant and available in all 50 states, they are confident that once you are trading instead of betting, you won't go back. And with my code on the screen when you sign up, they are giving viewers $10 free to try it out now. No deposit required, no credit card info needed. Just download the app via the link in the description and use code Alvini. Claim the $10 free, make a few predictions, and see the difference in Polymarket yourself. Thank you again to Polymarket for sponsoring this video, and let's get back into it. Name, image, and likeness, or NIL. This 3-letter abbreviation has had the sports world in a chokehold for the last couple of years, and just like every new thing, the intention was very good, but how it was rolled out was very raw. For decades, we can agree that the original intention of a scholarship in the sports world was meant to be a way to further your education, working towards your going from a teenager to a young man, and at the end of it all, having a degree and transitioning from college sports to the professional world. Because let's not act like the professional leagues are reserved for everyone unless you go overseas, which opens up extra opportunities to continue to play for money. But under that, you had many scandals that openly known instances of coaches from programs paying people under the table, giving benefits to families to lure them to their school, and whatever else you can think of. But that wasn't just reserved for everyone. It was only for the top guys. My father went to the University of Alabama in the 80s, and he would even tell me that this was the thing even back back then. Just like how you would see football players rolling up to campus in a brand new car, that was nothing new in the world of college sports. But where people began to have a problem start defending the rights of these players was when the NCAA and colleges alike were making billions of dollars off the names of these players on jerseys and other college memorabilia, with the players not making a single cent from it. If you can remember back in the early 2010s, the NCAA world was dominated by a single man, Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football himself, who before the 2013 season was under investigation for making money from simply signing autographs, thus breaking the amateur status, quote unquote, of his play. Because the NCAA, you're not just an athlete, you're an amateur athlete, and making money while being an amateur athlete makes you a professional according to the NCAA. The main problem is Manziel couldn't make money off his own likeness, but Texas A&M can sell merchandise off his impact, and that's where the hypocrisy came in and brought question to the ethics of all this. We'd even see Reggie Bush lose his Heisman Award over this same issue, but these people are superstars and damn near celebrities as young adults, but they can't make money off of it. But the university can make millions on top of billions of dollars without the players making a single cent. So that's when the NCAA finally let the floodgates open. Starting in 2019 in California and later in 2021 nationwide, NIL rules we put into place for college athletes to sign deals and either their colleges and companies to make money off of their name, image, and likeness for, of course, a contracted deal so the athletes can get a piece of the pie. And this would create some great moments across the sphere. You have young adults making 6 or even 7 figures to be able to live the dream as a professional athlete in college and give back to their families or start working their way towards generational wealth. You got cool stories like Jack Oakey, who immediately banked on a single game beating Kentucky in the NCAA tournament a few years ago, signing deals for his play. And even last year during the tournament, we had McNeese State and now NC State basketball manager Amir Oricon signing deals for his moments in the tournament last year, creating viral content. So whether it was the top dogs or the underdogs, people got paid, and it was a cool thing to see. Instead of relying on under-the-table benefits or not even getting money at all, now athletes had actual negotiation power to choose their own destiny to the highest bidder. But only a few years after it became widespread, that's when the problems began to arise culture-wise, and people started to question the system little by little. You remember how many household names in coaching retired in the past couple of years? Many of them credited that to the new culture being created from NIL being baked into the sports world and had very little tolerance for what some would call entitlement and bad faith intentions from the players. Virginia coach Tony Bennett in 2024, Jim Larrañaga in 2024, Coach K in 2022, and it even drove away one of the best coaches of all of college football, Nick Saban, in 2024. All of them noting challenges within the new culture that is created from this new wave of players coming in and making money, and of course, demanding money. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the attitudes it's created due to the lack of laws and structure. Jim Larrañaga would talk about the NIL age, saying, quote, "What shocked me is that we made it to the Final Four just 18 months ago. The very first time I met these players, 8 of them decided they were going to put their name into the portal and leave. I said, 'Don't you like it here?' They said, 'No, I like it here. It's great.' But the opportunity to make money someplace else created a situation that you would have to begin to ask yourself as a coach, what is this all about? The answer, that it's become professional. I have a group of kids, so it's not their problem. It's the system now, or lack of a system. I don't know how to navigate through this." But one of the more outspoken figures in the college world about NIL, and still currently, was for sure Nick Saban, who was one of the least tolerant people about it. And the burnout from it made him prematurely retire. Just listen to a few lines from this article once again. "I thought we would have a hell of a team next year. And then maybe about 70 or 80% of the players you talk to, all they want to know is 2 things. What assurance do I have that I'm going to play because they're thinking about transferring, or how much are you going to pay me?" So I'm saying to myself, maybe this doesn't work anymore, and the goals and aspirations are just different, and it's all about how much money can I make as a college player. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that there's never been what we've been all about, and it's not why we've had success through the years. In this new landscape, you have to deal with many new factors. And one of those is now that these players who were in middle school at the time that the NIL team started, coming to college now and trying to negotiate money as the top priority off the jump, and it creates a big problem all around. The coaches just want to ensure that you're going to be sticking around and be an asset, since now that's exactly what you're being paid to be, even though the NCAA doesn't want to admit it. And the players are trying to go to whoever the highest bidder is every year. It's a two-way street and a huge tug of war that some coaches just don't budge on. Famously speaking, we would see coaches like Dabo Swinney in Clemson that is very much against the culture, and because he won't get with the times, and the program of Clemson that used to be a powerhouse that was competing for championships just 6 years ago is now a team struggling to even make it to the college football playoffs consistently. So now, if you don't get with the program, you're gonna fall behind real quick, because money talks ever since the beginning of time. No more does legacy or coaching lead the way. Now it's all about the green dollar bills. For those who keep up with college football, does the name Bryce Underwood ring a bell? Remember just last year when he would commit to LSU, and then Michigan boosters from every single angle, whether it was Tom Brady himself or the Barstool Sports guy, pooling a combined $12 million to drag him away? That's the type of thing that this NIL culture creates. It is a big time free agency pool and the absolute wildest of West, because if a college really wants you, they'll pay. And a lot of players come in with that type of mentality, and it creates a pretty wild culture from every angle. But if you think that's bad, how about what happens when players don't get what they want or are trying to level up? According to Twitter right now, there are over 3,300 athletes trying to transfer to a new school. This is even before the D1 portal opens up, which is surely going to bring the number to nearly 4K, if not over. Back in the day, if you transfer to a new school, you had to sit out a year to be able to play again. But now in the NIL era, you can come in and play immediately the next upcoming season. And with the added benefit of getting paid to transfer, we get the madness we have now. Thousands of young adults trying to go for greener pastures elsewhere, all for the dollar bills, and it's driving coaches, fans, and players alike crazy. There's been 3 reasons for this. Firstly, coaches are dealing with the most turnover they have ever had to face, which creates a wild variability for those in the middle of the pack. Secondly, players are being poached after a good year, creating a real talent drought. And lastly, for those who truly aren't like that, it's the worst decision they could ever make in an attempt to search for better. And of course, that means they're going to just lose their scholarship and prematurely retire. Now let's focus on the point that is going viral right now. James Madison University in North Texas just had their best seasons in years. James Madison made it to the college football playoffs and genuinely had a good performance against Oregon, despite what the scoreboard said. And North Texas had one of the most terrifying offenses in the sport. In a pre-NIL era, they'd be like a Boise State and continue to build up their ranks until they start flirting with a roster that is capable of beating a powerful school, because when you had to wait a year to play if you transfer and money wasn't involved until the NFL, people just didn't go away without a genuine reason. But in today's era, many players from those 2 teams are transferring to a bigger school for a bigger paycheck, and now their teams are going to look nowhere near as good as they did this year. This is one of the biggest problems with the transfer portal right now. Poaching. Because remember, one of the oldest arguments known to man when it came to college sports about the lower tiered schools not ever being able to compete against the bigger schools was just because they had more to offer. Well, now more than ever, that will be the case. Those small programs are legit not going to be able to keep anything to grow into something naturally, because those same players who break out there will just go to a bigger place because of that same factor. Money. Except it's even worse now, because you legit go from finding a diamond in the rough to seeing that diamond go elsewhere. North Texas's QB, Drew Messmaker, if I'm even pronouncing that right, was literally a walk-on there and didn't even play varsity football as a quarterback and turned into one of the best QBs in the nation. That is as good as it gets when it comes to luck. But despite that luck and investment, he'll be enjoying 3 years of eligibility for another school. A real gut punch for fans and the coaching staff. But this is the fate of college sports right now. You're just feeding the bigger schools whether you like it or not. And by no means am I against that movement. It's just the fact that there's zero guardrails against it, and it's a huge problem as we are seeing right now. But what's worse than feeding players to a bigger program? Players not playing at all. As I mentioned, there are over 3,000 student athletes in the college football transfer portal right now. And as you can imagine, that's because these guys are looking for better opportunities. They're trying to move up for money reasons or whatever it may be. Well, that isn't how it's always going to work, because a lot of those guys will just end up without a home and will basically be retiring due to it, which is a harsh reality because a lot of these players are going to have to face the music. This system doesn't benefit everybody. It benefits the best of the best, or at least the decent. And when everyone thinks that they're worth something or are overestimating themselves, they will end up without college homes and end their careers right then and there, which is another problem the NIL era has created. But overall, you heard me talk about the dangers it has created on the football side of things. What if I told you it's become worse in the basketball side of college athletics? Because in the words of the great James Brown, you ain't seen nothing yet. So far, I've been telling you about the interesting world of what the NIL system has created in football that people are fed up with. Well, in basketball, it's becoming even worse. Let me introduce you to James Nnaji, 31st pick of the 2023 NBA draft, played against Wemby in the Summer League, currently 21 years old, and has professional basketball experience since he was 16. Recently, he was signed to play for Scott Drew and the Baylor Bears in the middle of the season, right before conference play, and it sent shockwaves throughout the entire NCAA world because this is literally someone who is deemed to be NBA talent now being able to go to college for 4 years. For anyone that doesn't know, the NBA draft process works like this. If you decide to test the waters of the NBA draft to see if you'll be drafted or comfortable with the position that you'll be going in the draft through the process, you have a certain deadline until you are deemed ineligible to return. In that time, you'll be going through the combine, interviews, and many other events until you're given a chance to back out or not. If you do, you're able to go back to college like nothing happened, and in some cases, you're even able to transfer. But if you stay, that's it. No more college basketball for you, and you live with the results. Famously within college basketball, it's actually encouraged to go back to school to make that bag when you're making already 6 figures plus anyways, because if you continue to play well or play better, it'll only increase your draft stock more, and most likely you'll be making more money in college than you are in the NBA as a second round pick or a late first round pick. Think of people like Yaxel Lindenberg from Michigan leading one of the most dominant teams right now in college, or LeBaron Philon, who was thought to be a late first round pick, who probably would have been in the G League somewhere if he stayed in the draft, who is now one of the best guards in the class in his sophomore year as he leveled up big time and is now looking to be a clear lottery pick. But what James did absolutely turns all of that on its head. He literally stayed through all of that, got drafted, played in the summer league twice with multiple teams, was a draft and stash product, so he was either going to be eventually signed to a deal or eventually lose his NBA rights. However, that's where the loophole came in. He never played an official NBA game, so he's basically as much of an NBA player as any of these European guys who play professionally and went to college now. That's where Baylor was able to abuse the rules and create one of the biggest headlines of the season. We already live in a crazy time where plenty of schools are employing Europeans in their early 20s to play college basketball with years of professional experience, which is soiling the field right now. But what Baylor is doing is going an even step further. And guess what it's creating? A whole new can of worms to be opened. Meet Trenton Flowers, an NBA two-way player with the Chicago Bulls. Currently, he has 8 NBA games in his young career being played as one of the many high school kids who didn't want to go to college route and opted to play in the NBL to try to make the NBA through the draft. Think of people who went a similar route like LaMelo Ball, RJ Hampton, and Terrence Ferguson. All 3 of those guys waived their eligibility playing in a pro league to get past the 1-year removed from high school rule the NBA had in place for over a decade. But now, as he struggles to find a home in the NBA, he is now receiving offers from many top schools to come in as a 20-year-old to bolster someone's roster. Is that not insane to you? But luckily, and thank God, the NCAA president came in and shut down that madness a few days after, because if he got away with that, it would have sent an even worse message to what coaches are allowed to get away with. But those two aren't the only ones causing an issue. Right now, there are teams signing former G League talent that never touched the NBA, but were young guys in the G League that opted to skip college altogether for a chance to grind in the minor leagues. And with the opportunity to make a nice fat check, they moved from the G League to the NCAA. Names like London Johnson, who literally went to the G League Ignite program in 2023 and played 3 years in the G, who is now 21 years old and about to play for the Louisville Cardinals next year. Thierry Darlin, who played for the Ignite program in 2024 and played 2 years in the G League, and before that professionally in Africa, is now currently playing for Santa Clara, who is the first player that started this trend. And Abdul Ahmed, a 22-year-old G League player who played for the Knicks G League roster until reaching a deal with BYU. Even recently, John Calipari spoke on this and was very vocal about the lack of rules for this, and everyone is on his side.
But let me give you this. Real simple. The rules be's the rules. So if you put your name in the draft, I don't care if you're from Russia and you stay in the draft, you can't play college basketball. Well, that's only for American kids. What? If your name is in that draft and you got drafted, you can't play because that's our rule. Yeah, but that's only for American kids. Okay, now, here's the next lawsuit. Well, we don't have a say over European players. You do if they're playing in college basketball. So that means you don't have a say over high school kids. So whatever a high school kid does before he comes here, don't you do one thing, because there's a suit. Because what you're saying is, if he's in Europe, we don't have the same rules. What? If he puts his name in the draft, he can't go to college.
And what kills me about this is the trend of bringing in Europeans from all walks of life, and now even G League talent. What does that do to the integrity of the original purpose of American college basketball? Because as we continue to go down this road, this will only hurt one group of people at a massive scale, and that's high school basketball players. Why recruit and raise a high school guy when you can have the pick of the litter on 4 types of players? Europeans who are mainly raised around professionals, considering how the club system works over there. G League players who are obviously playing against better competition off the jump and come in as freshmen older after a few years in the G League. Transfers from around the country who you can handpick to fit your team. And now even JUCO guys who get 4 years of eligibility right out of JUCO after the NCAA changed the laws there too. Unless you're a 5-star, a 4-star, or a really good 3-star, you're either going to take a lower D1 deal, which I've seen a trend of people taking for the sake of security, or it's the JUCO route for you. But the crazy thing is, there's a conspiracy going around within the sports world that is making a lot of sense as to why this is happening, and it's going to sound wild when you hear it. And it goes like this. The reason the NCAA is allowing all of this because they want to gain control of the NIL system. Because before even the NCAA had a widespread policy about the NIL system, it was a state-by-state issue. And due to that, it was very easy for these athletes to sue the NCAA when they didn't get their way. So what the NCAA may be doing is allowing the madness to happen in its current form to push Congress to make a rule that allows them to make the standards for everything, because without that, it's all up to the states, and they're going to be at large going to favor the athletes, as we've seen through many of lawsuits against the NCAA, where in a recent case of House versus the NCAA, a settlement was made where the NCAA had to give up $3 billion, not millions, billions. Luckily, they shut down the Trenton Flowers thing because that truly would have gone too far. But in the current form that we have, with massive movement every year because it's encouraged, more and more outsiders getting into the system due to the lack of regulations, and now high schoolers, the one who are supposed to benefit the most in the college system, getting less prioritized year after year, it's just going to create an even bigger mess the more that it's allowed. Again, over 3,300 football players at this current moment are in the transfer portal, and that is without the D1 portal opening up, FBS and FCS wise. This problem will only grow more and more as less regulation is allowed. And while I'm in no way against these players making money, not by any means, there needs to at least be some structure and rules in place. There can be a good mix of balance where the players get what they want and the NCAA doesn't have to get sued every single year. But what most people want is a cap at the bare minimum and revised transfer rules, because we are currently in the age where teams on social media are re-signing college players. Now, in the NFL or the NBA, you do contract negotiations at the end of a term in the contract. These kids got more freedom than professional athletes in terms of their NIL deals. If that isn't crazy, then I don't know what will get you to understand that college sports has an NIL problem. With that being said, tell me what you think about this topic and what you want to see next, your thoughts on this video, and until next time.